Despite Russia announcing a partial withdrawal of some troops in what others hope is a sign of de-escalation, NATO remains sceptical, just as the alliance's defence ministers gather in Brussels for crisis talks.
We have heard the signs from Moscow about readiness to continue diplomatic efforts, but so far we have not seen any de-escalation on the ground. On the contrary, it appears that Russia continues the military build-up. So it remains to be seen whether there is a Russian withdrawal. We are, of course, monitoring very closely what Russia does in and around Ukraine. What we see is that they have increased the number of troops and more troops are on their way. So far, no de-escalation. But of course, we hear also the messages about diplomacy, and we are ready to engage in diplomatic efforts with Russia.
Diplomatic activity on the issue continued at a high level this week, with Russian and U.S. foreign ministers speaking Tuesday, followed by a 50-minute video conference between President Biden and French President Emmanuel Macron. While German Chancellor Olaf Scholz was in Moscow for talks with President Vladimir Putin, who said he did not want war in Europe, but described the situation in East Ukraine's breakaway regions as genocide. Kremlin-backed rebels in the eastern Donbas region have been fighting a war with Ukrainian forces since 2014, when Russia also annexed Crimea. Russia's parliament this week backed a resolution calling for Moscow to formally recognize the Ukrainian territories of Donetsk and Luhansk as President Putin continues to press Russia's broader security concerns in Eastern Europe.
We hear that Ukraine is not ready to join NATO today. We know this thesis. And then they say that Ukraine will not be accepted tomorrow. Will it be accepted when it is prepared? It may be too late for us then. That is why we want to solve this issue now, right now, in the near future, through the negotiating process, by peaceful means. This is our starting point, and we very much hope that our concerns will be heard and taken seriously by our partners.
His U.S. counterpart earlier speaking directly to the Russian people, saying Washington did not seek confrontation with Russia.
We are not seeking direct confrontation with Russia, though I've been clear that if Russia targets Americans in Ukraine, we will respond forcefully. And if Russia attacks the United States or our allies through asymmetric means, like disruptive cyber attacks against our companies or critical infrastructure, we are prepared to respond. If Russia does invade in the days and weeks ahead, the human cost for Ukraine will be immense. And the strategic cost for Russia will also be immense. If Russia attacks Ukraine, it'll be met with overwhelming international condemnation. The world will not forget that Russia chose needless death and destruction. Invading Ukraine will prove to be a self-inflicted wound.
The United Nations Security Council convenes Thursday in open session to review the implementation of the Minsk agreements, designed to end the separatist war in eastern Ukraine, a meeting likely to be dominated by current military developments on the ground. Sherwin Bryce's SABC News, New York.